Hi guys, how's it going? Um, I know the assignment is making me very busy. So let's start with Chioma. Chioma, how's the assignment going with you? Hello, Chioma.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. So how's the assignment going with you? Have you started at all?
Yes, I have, but everything is still looking new to me, so I'm still finding it difficult to navigate through the assignment, but it's going on fine.
Okay, so maybe you can communicate that to your mentor so they will guide you on that.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right, welcome. So let's go to the next person. Duru Ewuru. Is it Duru Ewuru?
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Evening. So how's the assignment
Yeah,
going?
it's going well. I've done the first draft and I've sent it to my mentor. He made some corrections. He pointed out some corrections and told me to implement it. So I would implement the corrections
Oh,
and get back to him.
okay, that's cool. That's cool. That's a nice one. So the second assignment is will be ready by next week, and it's
Wow.
more like uh, it's like an addition to what you have. What you have right now, add something on top of it. That is the second assignment. So that's it for the program now to give you assignment you enjoy.
Sure.
All right. Thank you for that. So let's hear from Promise Peter.
Hello,
Promise Peter here.
good evening all. I don't know if you can hear me. Well, the assignment is going well. Yes, okay, the assignment is actually going well. I already submitted to my mentor and some corrections were made, so I'm trying to implement that. But aside that, it's quite challenging, but I like it and it's good. So that's it.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. So I guess it's time for me to give the mic to BB. BB, are you here? BB, are you here? BB here. Hi, BB.
Oh, hi. I have this is a very bad time to be caught. I have food in my mouth. Okay, hi.
Okay, that's yeah. So I guess our main speaker is here. Yes, he's
Okay,
here.
is he already? Okay. I was actually waiting for him and I did not get a note that he already.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm checking. I don't know if he's here. I'm just checking.
I'm checking and I have not seen him. I'm not certain.
Hi, hi, Idris, are you here? I'm looking. I'm not. Yeah, I don't think he's here. Okay, so while you're waiting for him, you can let me entertain everybody. All right, so let's go over to Adina. Hi, Adina. So how is your assignment going?
Hi. Hi, everyone. The assignment is going. I prepared the first draft. Now I plan to complete what I have left out of the first draft and add the images. I hope to be ready by Wednesday and submit the copy for review to our mentor.
All right, that's good. Thank you so much for that. All
Thank
right, so
you.
let's hear. Yes, I want to correct something which I noticed. I saw someone posting the assignment on LinkedIn. So the instruction is when you're done with the assignment, you put it on Google Docs and send it to your mentor to review. Then when your mentor is done reviewing, you can now publish it to anywhere you want to publish. So I saw somebody posting that on LinkedIn, so which is not our culture. So please don't do that. Anyone that is intending to do that. All right. So let's hear from who do we have here? I don't know how to pronounce your name. Oh. Is it Abq or something? Is it? Let me read ABQAR. Is it Abq? I don't know. Sorry for not pronouncing your name very well. Okay. ABQER. All right, so let's hear from Temitope.
Good evening,
How is the
everyone.
evening? So how is the
It's been
assignment
going
going?
very well. I've learned so much about Chrome that I didn't know before, and I find that very exciting. Um, I'm
Wow.
still, I'm having a hard time dealing with the inserting images. That part of it has been difficult for me, but in terms of the writing, I've been enjoying it, and I think I should be done by tomorrow. So fingers crossed.
Okay, hi
Okay.
guys. Our mentor is here. Speaker actually. The speaker for today is here now. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Good day, good afternoon, depending on your time zone. Um,
The record.
oh, that is very true. Thank you. So I'm doing that already. Okay, so you're welcome to today's class section. Today we're going to be talking about the speaker is going to be talking about the introduction to markdown and then everything in between. So, like we all understand, since please try as much as possible to use the chat section when you need to talk. It is really, really important that you have to share. Then please you can raise your hand so the speaker can pause and then give you the chance to speak. And we'll be taking class attendance on call. So just watch out for the chat section. Once the class attendance links drop, just sign in, put your name and do your details and everything. And at the end of the call also, we might also take the class attendance. So, but I'm not, no class attendance link will be dropping on Slack. Everything happens on the call. Okay, so that's it for me. Hi, Idris. Please, the floor is open. You can start.
Hello.
You're
Hello,
welcome.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, we can.
Oh, all right. Just give me a second.
Go Idris, go Idris, go Idris, our father.
Please. Okay, let's get right into it. Straight up. All right, I will share my screen in a second. All right, share. Okay. All right. Sorry, can you all see my screen? Can anyone just say, okay, good, 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 good. All right, thank you so much for that. Let me share my, okay. All right. Um, all right, good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you're joining from. I'm really excited to be here to talk about Markdown, where we'll be taking a deep dive into what Markdown is and why do you need Markdown, and also some relevant Markdown syntax, and not just that, including sites that you could literally have like hands-on practice on how to use Markdown, and even when I mean how to use Markdown, how to become really good at using Markdown, where you could just play around with things to understand how Markdown works better, and some of the things that could literally help you, platforms that you can write Markdown content, and it just like converts them to normal rich text for all users. We'll learn about all of those platforms here, and yeah, let's take a bit dive into it. So starting, okay. Okay, so I would like to ask a few questions. You can just, I'm seeing the chat session anyways, so you can just drop it. The first question is, are we all familiar with technical writing? You can drop the question on chat. I would see them. Sorry, the answer on chat rather. Okay, cool. I can see tons of yes, 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 and also just getting started. No problem, no worries. It's glad we are all at least familiar with technical writing. So, do you have any experience using Markdown when writing technical content? Can I get some responses? Okay, some said no, yes, yes, no, no, no. Wow, interesting. All right, so no worries, right? That's the reason why we are here, to learn about what Markdown is and also how you can use them to create content, both documentation, technical content, how tools and guide. And since already I think a few people already share, like you guys already shared, that you do not really have experience using Markdown when writing technical content. So that literally just answers the third question, which is how frequently do you use Markdown for technical content? But no worries, like I mentioned earlier, let's just get straight into it. All right, so about me, my name is Idris Olubisi. I am a software engineer and a technical writer. I currently work as a developer relations engineer, and I am a technical writer at Free Code Camp, section engineering, Media Jam, which is owned by Cloudinary, Alpsmiths, Aviel, Akmamba, and some other ones anyways. And also I create Web3 technical content for Ashnode Web3, Logbucket, Alchemy Moralis, and Infura. And I am the Web3 Africa, the founder of Web3 Africa, and also a developer DAO member, not just a member, but part of the Writers Guild that contributes to their technical content, and also a mentor and backend lead at Shikode Africa. So moving on, to start with, before we take a deep dive into what Markdown is, I just quickly want to set the stage right. And I also want to just give like a bit context about technical writing before we start talking about Markdown. So what is technical writing? Technical writing is a process of creating and managing technical content, and this content could be about technology, software, systems, and the main goal of when you think about technical content, the main goal why technical writing exists is to simplify complex concepts and also simplify the process of users understanding software products and improving themselves. So the simpler term, or just you can just say technical writing is a way of simplifying software products or any concept that is technical. Is technical writing just literally help you break down those complex concepts into bits where anyone on earth that go through those content could understand. And going through those content and understanding those content means that you'll be able to use those softwares. Now, what is a markdown? A markdown is a lightweight markup language that is used to format text in a simple, easy to read way that can be converted to HTML. So behind the scene, this kind of justify that at the end of the day, the most syntax that you come across within markdown or using markdown is at the end of the day going to be converted to the regular HTML. And when you are using Markdown, you can literally find like some familiar tags that you might have used while you are building your software or building your sites. That's the regular HTML HTML that you might have come across when you're building your platform. So it also Markdown uses a simple syntax, and this allows users to add formatting elements such as headings, emphasis, lists, links, and images, just like the way we have like headings, emphasis, lists in the regular HTML tags. And I want to believe that we are all familiar with HTML, or we might have seen or come across HTML tags on the internet. So that's like Markdown just use a simpler syntax to help people to allow users to add formatting to content they are creating and not just creating it in a plain text. So what it means behind the scene is that at the end of the day, even if you add any formatting elements to your content with the help of Markdown, on rendering on the okay, said the call is breaking. I'm not sure. Is that general? Can any other person confirm if they can hear me? And it's fine.
Yeah, I can
Yes,
hear
sir.
you.
I can hear you, sir, and it's
Yeah, I
fine,
can
sir.
hear you.
All right.
It's
So,
fine here also.
all right, cool. Thank you very much. So, Emmanuel, I don't know, maybe you might need to exit and rejoin. Maybe it's a network. All right. So, like I was saying, using like at the end of the day, when you create any content with Markdown, it's being converted to HTML. So, for example, now if I'll be mentioning, like giving you examples of sites that you can write Markdown syntax on, and the end result will look just like the way we used to have like plain text on the web. And this is because so many things have happened behind the scene. And it has literally just helped you convert all of those Markdown text into plain text that you might not even know what was written with that particular content. So now that I want to believe we understand like what Markdown is itself. So why do we need Markdown in the first place? To keep things very simple, Markdown is simple, right? And it helps you produce like clean output, and is widely supported rather, making it ideal for creating content for the web. So that's the reason why we actually need Markdown. If you want to create content, you can create content with plain text, which is totally fine. But what if you want to add some sort of formatting? Maybe you want to lay emphasis on a particular sentence, or you want to quote somebody. How do you do that with plain text? It's not possible. That's where Markdown comes in, right? Even if you are a developer, you might have used any tool that you are a developer, and you might have seen any tools that convert text to Markdown, or any tools like rich text editor that when you write a plain text, you can just highlight over it and it changes, maybe turns it to bold or make it an heading or create an header on all of those things, right? What they are doing behind the scene is they are using Markdown behind the scene. So the reason why we need Markdown is to simplify the process, and not just for simplification, but also producing clean outputs. And the fact that it is widely supported, it makes it ideal for creating content on the web. So widely supported also means that um, you know, a lot of people are using it. It's been improved on. And there are so many ways you can use it. So, which means that if you search for things online, or search on how to use Markdown, or content or platforms that uses Markdown, or any of those things, you are going to find resources, because a lot of people are using it to create content for the web. So now, let's go straight into Markdown syntaxes on how, let's see how they look like. Are they ugly? Are they fine? Are they, are they something you can really work with? Sorry about that. All right. One second. I don't know, this thing just clicked. Oops. Now I don't know what's happening. Just give me a second, let me fix it. Okay, 1 second. Sorry about that. All right, resume slideshow. Yeah. Okay, let me share my screen. All right, I believe you all should be able to see my screen now. All right, so it's a blank page, don't worry. So back to Markdown syntax. Let's kind of go through what Markdown syntax are, and also how, like, for you to see the difference between the Markdown and how it looks like when it finally converts to plain text, or is being converted on the web. So Markdown syntax consists of a set of formatting elements that can be used to format text, just like what I mentioned earlier, that Markdown is used for text formatting. So here are some basic syntax elements for Markdown. So the way you could have like headings, emphasis, lists, other lists, and all of those things. When you are building your site with HTML, CSS, where you could literally just find those tags, is the same way you can create a markdown syntax or create any markdown content. So for headings, if you want to create heading, you start with the line, you start the particular line with hash. So hash here in this case, like a single hash here in this case, means that you want the biggest size. So in this case, this usually means in HTML, we have H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, where H1 is the biggest, then followed by H2, H3, H4. So the biggest in this case here, this hash represents H1 when you think of HTML tags. So should in case you are trying to understand what I mean by this single hash, it just means H1. Then when you have a double hash in front of any line, it means that you want that particular line to have H2 tag. The same thing for H3, the same thing for H4, H5, H6. So for emphasis also, maybe um, you want to lay emphasis on a particular sentence, you can just add asterisk to the word, to the front and the back of that content, and it kind of create an emphasis on that particular content. And if you also want, you can also use underscore to surround the text. These are like some form of formatting. Would check out the sites that we can easily test out all of those things, and you see the result, you see what it looks like. But for now, let's just go through like what it is, then before we get to the practical stage. Moving on, we have the list. To create a list in Markdown, the same way, when you want to create a list in HTML, you either create a list as ordered list or ordered list, right? Where you have list item. So, but in this case, if you want to create a list, instead of creating all of those tags and having like list item with different tags, you can literally just use hyphen. The system would understand that this that we want to do is a list that we're about to create. And in fact, you can have 10,000 lists in as much you have this dash, a hyphen in front of that list. You literally have a list, a bulleted list, right? So you can use asterisk too, but you need to create a space. If you add asterisk, you press your space bar to give a space, then you will be able to achieve the same thing. Another one is link. When you want to link an HTML, you use your a tag, to link. If you are using plain HTML elements, but if you're using frameworks, like we have other patterns or other ways or approach of adding a link. But in this case, to create a link, you use a square bracket, you open and close the square bracket to enclose the link text. So the link text in this case is, okay, the link text, maybe just forget about the video, just focus on the content anyways. So to create a link, you use square bracket, like I mentioned earlier, to enclose the link text, and followed by parentheses. So in this case, that square bracket, what you have in the square bracket, every link you create definitely needs to have like alt text, right? So you can add an alt text into the square bracket, then you follow it by the link. So that way we have literally created a simple link, right? So another one is images. To insert an image in any document, if you are using the Markdown, you can use an exclamation mark, right? Followed by a square bracket. Then inside that square bracket, you can add your alt text for this particular image too, and then followed by the parenthesis. So this is kind of similar to the way you create a link, but the only difference is that in front of the square bracket, you have the exclamation mark. That's the only thing that makes creating a link and creating images different from each other. So moving on, what are some Markdown tools that could help you? Maybe tools and editors that you could try out on your own for you to learn or for you to do anything basically. So first, we have online editors. So online editors, we have example of online editors. In this case, we have the Markdown Live, the Markdown Live preview or Stack Edit, which we'll be checking out after, in a couple of seconds, right? And also we have these online editors are just mainly sites that you can, write Markdown and you get the result on the right hand side. Like you have the left hand side for writing the markdown test. On the right hand side, you see the result. So even though you want to write anything and you're not sure about it, you can just visit those sites. And that's the site here. In this case, is Markdown Live Preview. When you visit the site, you'll be able to paste in, you'll be able to write any markdown and then see the results immediately before you use them in your application. Another one here is the desktop applications. There are some apps that have been developed already where you can install on your PC if you really want to have it locally, right? And you can see the likes of Typora, you can see the like of Markdown. It's called Markdown, MAC, then down. Then you can see the likes of MarkText. So there are actually a lot of apps, right? If you really want a desktop application version, which literally does like the same thing that you can do with the online editors, right? And you should be fine. So the other one is text editors with plugin, right? I know we might have, many of us here might have Sublime Text, Atom, or Visual Studio Code where we used to write code. All of these text editors, they have plugins that allow you to write Markdown files. So if you go to the extension store and just type in Markdown Live or Markdown Live Preview, you'll be able to install it. So whenever you create a file with the extension of .md, what the file does, what that particular extension helps with is that you can, when you right click on that file or when you open the file and right click on it, you'll be able to preview live on your Visual Studio Code before you even push it to Git or whatever to see the result on how it looks like. So those plugins are like really literally everywhere on all text editors, depending on which one you are using at the moment. And last but not the least is the conversion tools. So if you have like an existing document in another format and you want to convert it to Markdown, you can use conversion tools like Pandoc or Multi Markdown. Is a tool called Multi Markdown where you can, just literally convert existing document or existing content into Markdown. So should in case you want to republish on a platform that only supports Markdown, you can just get your content, go to this Pandoc site and paste it there to help you convert all of those things to Markdown. And you can just copy the Markdown and paste it wherever you want to use them. So now we've talked about what Markdown is, Markdown syntax, and also why you need Markdown, and some of the benefits or like the tools that could help you learning or understanding what Markdown is. So now let's talk about the sites that supports Markdown. So not all sites support Markdown. Sites in this case, I'm referring to blogging platforms that support Markdown, that when you literally just sign up, if you want to create content, you can easily use Markdown format and start writing without no block or delay. So number one is dev.to. If you're already on dev.to, then maybe you should understand what I'm saying, and you might have seen it that dev.to supports Markdown by default. And we have Ashnode. They also give, but one good thing about Ashnode recently is that they give you that option to write your normal text, which they call what you see is what you get. But you can also go to the settings and change it to show Markdown format alone, right? So when you show Markdown format on Ashnode, you will see all your contents converted to Markdown, and you can continue writing with Markdown. What they are doing is to simplify the process of writing. Literally, it's still the same Markdown, but the option for you to write a plain text and have some features like formatting and all of those things is to help you convert those plain text to Markdown behind the scene. But because you don't want to use Markdown, you have the option to use plain text. And if you insist you want to use markdown, then you can just turn on the feature to use markdown. And that platform is Akanon, which also supports markdown. And we have the zone. You might not be really familiar with the zone. It's also a platform. No, these two platforms, Canon and the zone, you can't create an account and publish immediately. You create an account, write the content, and submit it to an editor for he or she to review, and then before it goes live. So they support Markdown by default. You can create Markdown content, and you'll be able to write to them. So these are the ones I've used, and I know they support Markdown. There might be like tons of other ones, right? But these are the ones that I feel these ones are popular, and you might easily just sign up on them for free and start writing if you want to, make good use of Markdown. So there are also Markdown best practices, right? And after the Markdown best practices, I would go to after the Markdown best practices, I would quickly go to a live site where we can quickly do a very small demo for you to see how the Markdown works. But still, let's understand that Markdown exists to simplify things, but they have best practices. You can't just think this is the way you want to use it and you just use it that way. The same way there are formatting and processes or like best practices where you are creating HTML tag, it's the same way Markdown also supports, also have like best practices. And one of them is using consistent formatting. And consistent formatting in this case could be the way consistency is the key when you are working with Markdown, of course. And so when you use consistent syntax, like for headings, lists, and links and other formatting, so you don't use what is not supposed to be used. For example, you're trying to, there are ways that we manipulate HTML tags. Some people, you see them wrapping divs inside a paragraph text, and which you definitely see results. But if you are deploying that kind of application, you can deploy for free. But if you are using frameworks will complain that you are not following best practices. So the same approach is what you should think of when you are using Markdown. And that one is avoiding unnecessary complexity. So while Markdown allows like a wide range of formatting option, right? It's important to keep it simple. So use simple formatting elements and try to create elaborate design with Markdown. So don't make anything complex when you are using it. Keep it simple. If you want an header, put an header. Make sure you go to the next line. If you want an emphasis on the text, or if you want a quote, make sure that you keep it simple. And for one particular line or a paragraph that you want to add formatting to, make sure that it's very simple and you are not adding just more than one formatting to that particular sentence. Another one is to test your Markdown output. So I mentioned that you can use VS Code. There are extensions that you can install on your VS Code that will allow you to test your Markdown outputs before you publish your content. If you are not creating those content locally, also you can use what's it called, online platforms like ashnodev.io. After writing, they give you like preview mode for you to see how those content looks like before you publish them. It's very important. It's part of the best practices for you to see so that you don't end up writing things that after publishing you won't like, right? So another one here is to use descriptive alt types for images. So there's one hack here that I want to mention, right? You see, when you use descriptive alt text for images, you need to understand that you are not just using it because you are following best practices, but you are using it for Google SEO, right? So when you use descriptive images, sometimes if your image on the internet are unique, maybe you created those images yourself. If you are lucky, if Google bots rank your site and somebody search something that matches one of your description of all text, it will show up your site because that's where the image is. even though that's not exactly what the person is looking for, but because you have a descriptive alt text that match your tag. I've seen a lot of people when they upload maybe image on a site that support markdown, and maybe the name of the image is screenshots from their local image, screenshot 1.000, and they upload it. What it does for you behind the scene is, if you are using any site that supports markdown for content creation, it would pick that file name as the alt text. I see people just leave it there, maybe because they don't understand or they don't want to stress themselves. But the truth is that if you want, part of the hack for you to make your content rank is having a descriptive name, which will also help the search engine to find your content whenever there's a relevant search that matches those contents. So last but not the least is back up your markdown documents. It's always good to have the backup, and got so good. We have Ashnote already doing that, where you can enable a Git repository backup. So when you create those contents, what they do for you behind the scene is they help you update the repository of all your blogs on your Git. So that way you can have a copy of all your content, because that thing takes a lot, especially when you have written a lot of content, you have styled it, you have done everything that is necessary. And now doing all of those things, it just disappeared. Maybe for some reason, maybe autosave was not working, and all of those kind of things that you come across by just losing all your documents. So it's important to back up your markup file regularly to prevent data loss, and also consider using a version control system, which I already mentioned, where you could back up all your markdown files just for you to be safe, right? This work, I don't think this is only for markdown, right? This also works for any other documents you are working on and you don't want to lose them all of a sudden. Using version control is very important. So now let me just stop share and show you this site I was talking about. I want to believe you all can still see my screen. All right, please, if you can see my screen, just say yes. Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Thank you for that. So now let's take a look at, let me kind of make it bold a little bit. Let me see if I can zoom in. Oh, okay. If I zoom in, it becomes ugly. Let me just leave it this way. All right, so you can see what I've been talking about, right? You see, when they use one hash here, see the result here, you have like H1 tag. When they use two, you have something smaller, right? So you see what I'm talking about. This is, for example, a single hash here. If you want to achieve an head one tag, this is how you achieve it. You see the end result here, where you have this is a H1 tag, and also this is H2 having like a 2/, and then this is H6, which is like the smallest. You can see how small it is, right? And for emphasis that I mentioned earlier, you can see the adding a star asterisk in the front and the back in turns give you like an emphasis result. And also the same thing if it is underscore you are using, also gives you like the same result. If you want your text to be bold, you can add double asterisk. You can add double asterisk. Another hack is that if you want to test this out, you can check your WhatsApp. If you check your WhatsApp, try to add as in front of anything you want to type, and add this also in the end. You see that it will become bold, right? WhatsApp also kind of supports some of this markdown styling to just make some a little bit formatting to your content. If you try out most of these markdown syntaxes on your WhatsApp, you're literally going to get the same results, because this is just like approach of converting all of them to HTML. So for emphasis, you see for ordered lists and unordered lists. If you want to order ordered lists, you can, just like the way you can have it in HTML where you have star and you add them. The same thing for, excuse me. All right, the same thing for unordered list too, where you can have unordered here, then ordered list where you can have 1, 2, 3, and in fact you can even tab it, right, and have sub ordered list, right? where you can have item 3, item 3. So for images that I mentioned earlier, you can see the difference between image and links, right? For links, you don't have um, exclamation mark in front of it, but for images you have for images you have exclamation mark followed by the alt text followed by the source of the image. So this image they showed here, this ugly looking image, is actually on their server. That's why you're seeing slash image slash sample.png. But you can add, like, if you have a URL, image URL, a full image URL, you can add it here to still do the same thing, right? So you can even, in fact, you can even add tulip to it. I don't know if you might have heard about tulip. Like, this just kind of give like description of what the image is. You can see how beautiful it is. With just one line, you can be able to achieve that. And one good thing is that it doesn't change over time. It has been like this for a very long time, and people have been using it. So don't think maybe it changes every time, and you might need to relearn it every time. So um, for links, you don't have exclamation mark. You just have the link, the text, and the link itself. So now you can see it's extend up to having a block quote. So for example, if you want to quote anyone in your content and you just want to be sure that people know the difference of this sentence that you want to add and your own content that you are writing, you can just add this greater than sign and you put your content. Once you do this, the system automatically understand that you're trying to create a block quote. And the same thing, if you do double block quotes, it just takes it like a little bit further. You can see we have the quote here, we have the subquote again if you want to use it. And another thing here is tables. Markdown also support tables, right? You can have, so this site here, I'm saying you can literally just edit them, and you can see it's showing right on the right hand side, like immediately. So you can just edit them just to test things out. So we can have a table, you can have the table like this, and once you have it written like this, it will come out in this format. Then after that, you can add block of codes. So many platforms support, adding something like this that just tells the word and like kind of separates your code from your text. So doing that is just by adding this star, star, star. I'm sorry, not star. This template string. Yeah. When you add this 3 template string, the next line, the system already understand that, okay, we are about to open a block code, like a coding code where you can add your Python, JavaScript, Golang, any programming language that you're working on. And then the closing bracket means that only from here to here that I want to, highlight as my code, and you're good to go. So we also have inline code too in Markdown. So inline code here is, for example, you have a text, all of this one, you're always having like the syntax on every line. So it means that this line is H2 and that's it. But what if you want to have like H2 and you still want to write something in front of it? That's where inline code comes in. You can see this one says this website is using markdown mark.js/marked, right? And if you check this mark.js/marked, they add this template string, a single template string here and here, right? Because this is inline code. So if you want to highlight anything on your content that you're using currently, or maybe you want to just lay emphasis that, okay, this thing is not like the regular text. For example, in their own case now, this marked.js is a package that they are using to convert this whole thing. You can see they actually wanted to separate it, to highlight it to any users that are going through this document to know that this is the package they are using to achieve this, right? So that is why you need to understand that inline code supported by Markdown. So this is one. This is another site I could also recommend, stackedit.io. So one thing I recommend this one is because they have like some other things that you can do with Markdown. So You can see all this one, delete file, trash. These are like similar things that we just learned, like H2 tag, codes, bold, and all of those things. Synchronizing file, all of those things. But when you scroll down here, you see that we have some other ones that is quite different. You can also see a table here. And within the table, we have inline code there, just to highlight. And also, they also created like a gamma function, right, with markdown. You can see how beautiful it is. Just if you want to achieve this with your regular HTML or a plain text, you know how difficult it will look like. So for you to follow all these markdowns, system having $/ gamma and all of these things, already understand that okay, I need to render a lattice mathematical expression here using ktext, right? And also you can draw a UML diagram with markdown. So if you are the type that like expressing things within your content and you don't want to learn any graphic design skills and you just want to explain something very brief, showing one place going to another or this thing going to another, you can just make use of the UML diagrams supported by markdown by default. So when you open the block quotes here, the 3 template string, you just add this mermaid here and then specify that this is going to be a sequence diagram. All right. And then you can have your diagram. You can see Alice dash greater than to hello Bob, how are you? So you can see what that achieved here from here to this point here, right? So depending on the direction on what you are looking for, you can see the second one is kind of different and it achieved this to this, right? I'm sorry, this to John, right? Which is like this way, it goes like this, and then if you want Bob dash X, it also kind of I'm good, thanks, right? It goes to this way. So it just gives you like a UML diagram that you can play with, just by basically drawing, adding this dash, then the greater than, and you'll be able to achieve something like this. Another one here I wanted to show you guys is flowchart. Yeah, you can use markdown to achieve flowchart. Also using the same tag, which is mermaid, and but you need to specify what it is. In this case, in the previous one, it's a sequence diagram. Here it is graph LR. So now you can be able to say, hey, square rectangle dash link test, then dash greater than B, which looks like kind of ugly, but at the end of the day, you achieve this beautiful looking flowchart. So the same thing from A to C, you can even specify the type of shape you want. Here we have the round rectangle, round rect. In this case, we have, yeah, it's a rectangle, but now it has like round edges, right? And here, B to D is rhombus, here in this case. And yeah, C to D, okay, I don't know where C to D is actually. But C to D also gives you another format. Okay, I can say this is the circle, this is the first one, round rect, this is the second one, rhombus, this is the third one. This should be the square rect, right? Okay, wait, let me just quickly follow it. This is A to B, which is here to here. Then we have the AC, which is round rect. This, then okay, this is A to C. Then we have B to D. This is B to D, which is rhombus. Then we have C to D, okay, which is this round rect. So you can create it in any direction. In this case, the direction here it is facing like forward, like right. You can decide to take. Let me see if we can edit this. Good. And edit this back. Sorry. And then okay. This is part of the best practices that I mentioned earlier, where you can specify all of it. So you need to understand that you can see I tried, changing the direction, but in this case, if your use case matches like having um arrow direction like this in this way, then of course you can make use of. But if you have something that turns the whole system back, then this might probably not be the option that you should use. You might just come back here to the sequence diagram to, for example, this one, good thanks from Bob to Alice. Here from Bob to Alice, you can see we achieve the arrow function that goes back with this particular syntax. So that's literally how Markdown works. So there are varieties of options, but there are some that you'll be using almost every time, like this one that I mentioned, like all of these ones, like bold, emphasis, heading, images, links, tables in some cases, then block of codes, right? These are the ones that you are most likely going to use every time when you create content, and you create those content on the sites that supports Markdown. Yes, so with this, I think we're right into it. Thank you so much for joining. I believe you all followed through from the beginning, and you now understand what Markdown is itself, and not just that, but why we need it and how to use it. And yeah, thank you very much. I'm open to questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Idris. Thank you. The class was really, really amazing. Well explained. You controlled you controlled your state really, really well. Thank you. So,
Thank you very
guys,
much.
do we have any questions for Idris? Do you have any questions for Idris? Plus, the attendance sheet has been shared to the chat. Please fill the attendance sheet because it is not going to be dropped on the Slack channel. Adina, your hands is raised. Do you have a question for Idris? Please, you can speak. Adina, in Neka, please, you can unmute your mic and speak.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening. So my question is on inserting video. I was having trouble inserting a video in my in my document. I was using VS Code, and I hosted the video on another site. I hosted it on Cloudinary, and then inserted it with the same image syntax, but it wasn't showing. So then I started checking out. I saw that from what I saw online, most of them were hosting the video on YouTube. So I tried hosting the video on YouTube. It still did not show. So I don't think it was from where I hosted it. I don't know what the problem was. I don't know why it wasn't showing. So is there like another syntax to use to insert video in a content? That's my question.
Oh, okay, yes. So one thing is that those tags are mainly for image tag. They are for images rather, and they are also for GIF. If you have GIF, if you have any GIF, you can try with it, it will work. But they do not support video. So some of these platforms or sites that you see that they add videos to their content, it's either for example, Ashnode now, they allow you to embed media. So when you click on embed media, you'll be able to, when you just drop the link there, they will be the one to show it for you, right? The way it's meant to be. So I don't want to give a particular markdown sit down they use to render YouTube or videos, right? Because it varies. When I using Ashnode, you need to add like a curly brace and then specify that this is a YouTube, like by just writing, after you open the curly brace, you now write YouTube. So when you write YouTube, you paste your link and close the curly brace, right? So that's what they were using before now. Then when I tried to do the same thing on dev.to, it didn't work. So they have their own approach. On dev.to, just tell them it's a link. Just put a link, and they don't use curly brace alone, they use curly brace and this percentage sign. So that's because it varies based on platform. But ideally, behind the scene, what they're doing is to just help you preview that video. This is literally not markdown. This is just a way for them to preview videos on their site. This is not markdown. You understand what I'm saying? So those image tag, they don't support videos. What they support is image or a GIF link. So if you have the image locally, or you have the image hosted, or you have a GIF hosted or GIF locally. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Hi, Idris. We have some questions here in the chat section. Just a minute. Let me try to scoff through the ones. Okay. Yeah. Idris will share his slide with us. So I think maybe he'll drop it after the call, and I'll share on the Slack channel. Or
Yeah, I can just drop anyone.
Okay, we'll get the slide across. I'm just trying to pick one of the questions I saw here. Just a minute. Okay, so I don't think this question really is in line with the class for today. But someone is asking, how would you advise someone to get topics to write on?
Okay, so there are so many ways you can get topic to write about, right? There are so many ways. But first one to start with is the approach that worked for me personally is for you to start. If you want to get topic to write about, you need to write about what you're currently learning. So for example, if you're learning JavaScript at this point now, you'll come across a lot of new words, concepts, ideas, and all of that, or tags or syntax, or even problems, software problems. When you get to fix them, you can write about them. So when you keep writing about what you are currently learning, you will never run out of idea, right? That's like the hack for me that I used to use several times. So which in turns means that it will also push you to learn about things, because you know that at the end of the day, when you learn about them, you are still going to write about it. So writing about what you're currently learning is like number one for me. Number two, I would share a link shortly that you can come in 1 second. Let me just find the link. So this link, what it does is that if you have anything in your mind that you're thinking of, maybe you want to write about, or maybe you just learned about DOM and you don't know how to get started with DOM, you can just type it there, say DOM. It will come up with a topic for you to write about. That's the link I just shared on the chat. It's called Article Idea Generator. You just kind of generate idea based on the feed, based on what you entered on the search box, right? So it comes up with at least 4 ideas for you, and it doesn't mean that you need to follow like the exact thing that it gives you, but at least it will give you an idea of what to write about or what you need to come up with, or maybe you're still struggling to shape any of your existing idea. And you also have the option for enabling SEO feature, like for it to reshape the way it is for SEO compatibility, or making the title SEO friendly. So you can be able to leverage that and you'll be fine. So you can check it out to just give you an idea of what to write about. You just feed it in with something you think you want to write about and you're good to go.
Okay, thank you very much, Idris. I think we take just one last question and then we're done for today because our time is fast spent. I think that has been answered actually. Is there an official documentation for Markdown? What were the online editors mentioned, please? Okay, so before I even give Idris the chance to speak on this, the slide is going to be shared, so I'm certain we're going to get access to that to later browse through it.
All right, sure. So I can also share. I've already listed them there, but I'll definitely share everything with the team. So you should expect to see them. You see the set, they are very, very like easy to play around with. And if you are unsure, maybe you want to add something and you can't remember the tag, you don't need to cram anything. All you just need to do is to check those sites and you should be good to go.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Um, so it is already. I'm trying to get his just give me a minute. Actual link to his Twitter. So see that is fun. Yeah, so you can connect further with Idris on Twitter. I just shared his Twitter link here and share your appreciation message for the class and engage with him here on Twitter. And if you have further questions, you can reach out to him also on Twitter. Thank you very much, Idris, for coming today. We
Yeah.
really, really, really enjoyed the section. Thank you. So please, thank you guys. Today's section was okay, and we have come to the end of it. Good night, guys. Please do not share the attendance sheet on the Slack workspace. It is strictly for on the call attendance. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Bye for now.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Idris. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for joining, everyone. Bye.